Indeed, Brian. Historic victories in New York State for Republican candidates who flipped deep blue Democratic districts bright red. In a humiliating loss for Democrats, Mike Lawler beat DCCC Sean Patrick Maloney, the chairman, becoming the first to oust a sitting House campaign committee chair since 1992. On Long Island, George Santos defeating Democrat Robert Zimmerman by nearly 10 points. In a Long Island district, Joe Biden won by double digits. And in the next district over, retired New York City Police Department Detective Anthony D'Esposito winning a House seat held by Democrats for roughly 2 decades. Here now on their very exciting week, those three New York Congressmen-Elect. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. So, Mike, we've been talking about where's the red wave. There was a red wave on Long Island.
Absolutely. And across New York State, we're going to send 11 members from New York to Congress, and that will ultimately deliver the House majority for Republicans. Being in the Hudson Valley, Rockland County, Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess, we defeated the chair of the DCCC and the first time in 42 years. And, today, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and George Soros wake up with a Republican Congressman-elect.
Your win reminds me of when AOC a couple of years ago beat Joe Crowley, the number 3 Democrat in the House.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not often that it happens, but, Sean Maloney had sent a memo earlier this year to House state Democrats demanding they gerrymander New York's congressional map. And ultimately,
do you blame him?
It just didn't work out the way he predicted.
Yeah, exactly. George, the Democrats threw everybody at you. Jill Biden, the first lady, showed up. The governor showed up. Hillary Clinton showed up. They all campaigned against you, and you beat them all.
Well, the reality is they were campaigning for themselves. This was a love fest. It was all about my opponent. He never once spoke about issues that matter to the people. I kept this entire campaign about messaging, talking to the people about issues that keep everybody up at night. And he couldn't help himself on just campaigning on smearing me. And it was one big gun after another. Hillary Clinton attacking me on social media to bringing in the First Lady. I mean, the reality is Americans at large here on Long Island and in New York State were just fed up. And they just wanted change. And I think we saw that red wave coming out through Long Island, up into the Hudson Valley. And remember, in New York, we're going to be sending the majority back to Congress, and we're sending 4 seats.
So. Well, we heard yesterday from Joe Biden, he's not changing anything when it comes to inflation because he's already started stuff, and we haven't really recognized the fruits of that labor.
He's going to have a really hard time with us coming in. If he's not planning on changing, then it's going to be a showdown for us in Congress with him.
No kidding. And Anthony, we have been talking on this channel for the last year or so about the problem here in New York City and New York State and across the country with crime. As a former cop, I mean, obviously, people look to you and they're thinking, okay, he knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think, that was, as both Mike and George said, we stuck to the issues that mattered to the people in our districts. And while the Democrats were out there trying to create issues that really weren't at the forefront of what mattered to the people that we want to represent, we stuck to the issues, we stuck to the script, and we delivered home a clear and concise message that when we get to Washington, we have a commitment to America, and that's what we're going to follow through.
I know that the polls, and they're analyzing the polls, if the polls are right or wrong in the run-up to the election, but your district was lean Democrat.
Yeah.
So why did they get that wrong? Or did your message just resonate at the very end? You surged at the end.
I think it was a little bit of both. We started in a district that Biden won by, I think, almost 14 points. We went leaning Democrat, likely Democrat. We came to a toss-up. And then on Election Day, we saw that, the people spoke. And it was clear when you review the voters, there were people that voted the Republican ticket that were Democrat, right, conservative, independents. And that's what made the difference.
Okay, lightning round. I'm going to ask each one of you, because you flipped, red district or blue districts red. How do people across the country, Republicans, do that, Mike?
You have to show up in every community. I represent a district in the Assembly that's 2-1 Democratic. I was the only Republican pickup 2 years ago. This year I flipped the seat with 70,000 more Democrats than Republicans. You have to go to every community, and you have to talk about the issues that cut across party lines.
You just wore them down. I'm going to keep knocking on the door until you vote for me. George, what do they do?
The reality is it's quality of candidate and the candidate that actually has ties to those districts. Like all of us here, we're tied to our districts. We're part of that community. And I think just being immersed in the community the way that we are just plays a big part in being successful.
And Anthony, you get the final word.
Work hard, stick together as a team, and make sure you're accessible.
You sound like a cop. You are.
I am.
You always will be. Guys, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Still ahead.